So example one, create a snowman in the accompanying grid. First thing I'll tell you guys is we're not actually going to make the snowman. What's important is getting the numbers down, getting the math down. If you've got time at the end to sketch out the snowman, that's great. But what we're really looking for is can you make a snowman? Can you use the information they give you to figure out the new measurements? So note letter A says calculate the width, the neck, and the height in units for the figure to the right. Okay, because it says this is the middle of the snowman, this is where we're going to start. The first thing it's looking for is the width. Now they're talking about the width, they mean the whole way from this left side over here to this right side. How wide is the entire shape? All right, so go ahead, count it up. Make sure you got the same number as me here. The width is going to have to be so it should be a width of 20. Again, we have no idea if it's inches or centimeters or feet. Yeah, we're talking about a snowman, 20 inches sounds like a good estimate, but 20 blocks is all we know for sure. All right, they also want to know the neck. All right, now remember this is a snowman here, right? Where does the neck happen for a snowman? Well, we're going to be putting a smaller one on top for the head, right? So that means the neck. If they want to know how big the neck is, that's going to be this top edge from here across to there, right? So it's going to be less than 20, but go ahead, same thing as last time. I'll give you 10 seconds or so. How big is the neck of our shape? All right, 12 is what you should have got. The last one then is the height. All right, so if we can figure out these three measurements, that'll give us enough to work on. So the height, again, just talking about the middle of the snowman, the height would be, from as far down on the snowman as we can go, counting up to the top of that center octagon. How many units would that be? Okay, and that's all they want to know for letter A. Now letter B says to create the head of the snowman, right? So the one that's going to go on top of the body. Make a scale drawing of the middle of the snowman with a scale factor of 75%. Okay, so if it's going to be 75%, that tells me the head of the snowman is going to be smaller. That's what we would expect, or it's going to be 75% of the normal size here, right? So if I'm talking about the width, the new width is going to be equal to percent of the scale drawing times the original, right? The same percent equation we've been using, the same thing as used in the table here today. This is something we've already had experience with. This shouldn't be anything new here. I know the original width, you went ahead and counted out. The original width was going to be 20. All right, so what I'm looking for is what would 75% of 20 be? Right? If I'm going to shrink this down to 75% of the size, 0.75 of 20. That's going to be my new width, right? So this is just a calculator question here, right? 75%. If you're doing the mental math, that would be like 3/4, right? What's 3/4 of 20? Okay, well the new width will have to be 15. Again, we're not going to draw it. If you got time at the end, that will be a little bit more of an extension activity for you. But they also want to know the neck and the height. Okay, so you don't need me for this. It's going to be the same process here. It's going to be 75% for both. How big is the neck going to be? How big is the height going to be? I'll give you enough time to work on this. The next question at the top of the next page says to create the bottom of the snowman, make a scale drawing of the middle with a scale factor of 125%. Okay, so this time, we're still going to use the same original. I know from before that the width was 20, the neck was equal to 12, and the height was equal to 12, right? That's the original. That's the one in the center. Well, this time I'm going to make a scale factor of 125%. I'm going to make the larger base. If it's 125%, it's going to be getting bigger. What I want to know is, again, what's the new width going to be? for the bottom of my snowman, what's the size for the neck, and what's the size for the height. Okay, so you've got letter B to finish up, and then letter C to do on your own. Now I'll give you the time to do that now. Again, go ahead and pause that to finish up B and C, or whenever you're done with that and you come back to finish the rest of the video. The letter D, is the head a reduction or an enlargement? Is the bottom a reduction and enlargement? And then here's the critical question that I really want to know. What is the significance of the scale factor as it relates to 100%? Okay, I know if it's something like 50%, it's going to be a reduction. It's going to be like half the size. If it's a scale factor of 200%, that means it's going to double in size. What's the significance of 100%? What would happen if it was a scale factor of 100%? You got plenty of space to write that in here. When you get to the exit ticket today, I am going to ask you for your answer to letter F. So make sure you got a good, solid answer for this before you move on to the next question. All right, so go back, finish up A, B, C, D, and E, and then spend a little bit more time on F, and we'll be good to go.